Greetings, warriors of light. FiOth here, and this will be my first video guide for Stranger of Paradise Final Fantasy, the new hack and slash created by Team Ninja. It's not a Souls-like, it's a much simpler, faster, and, well, kinda less tactical action game, but it is very, very well put together if we exclude the technical parts of it. And by that I mean the technology used, because it looks like hot garbage. God damn, who designed these textures? Anyway, in this video, my very first one of my guides for this project, I will be going through how the active skills work, how you can swap the active skills, and how by using the chains, that is the ability chains in each job, you can get more of those at your disposal and bind them to specific inputs so you can use them. So, first order of business, you cannot upgrade your jobs on your main menu. Okay, here you will see battle settings, and this is tied to gears and combo abilities binding. Okay, so the only way to upgrade your jobs is to hit a cube. As soon as you hit a cube, you will be at the job tree, and as soon as you have points, as you can see on the bottom right, I have 2 job points for the sword fighter. You can put them into something. Okay, some are passive abilities, others are active abilities that will need to be binded into bottom prompts. Okay, and to do all this, we're gonna start with the very basics. So let's say you just started using the sword fighter. You start on this node and you can unlock either this node, the shield bash, or this node, the slash and soar. Good thing that the game allows you to click a button to show the movie associated with the move. In the case of the PlayStation 5, is the central once upon a time touch button. Now it's just a button. Okay, so now I have 2 points. I can invest in something. Let's say I invest in Spirit of the Sword. It states, and has its ability set to hold A and proceed to R2. Staggers nearby enemies. What does that mean? Let's unlock it. We have now unlocked the Spirit of the Sword. We go into battle settings and we go into our combo abilities. Okay, you can pretty much use 2 kinds of shortcuts in this game. One is the command abilities. It says here, equip command abilities from the battle settings menu. There are 3 slots available. Use equipped abilities by holding L2 and pressing triangle, square on X. Okay, so I can, for example, put my shield bash here, and this is the simplest way of binding specific inputs to buttons. The command abilities only offer 4 slots, and only specific abilities can be slotted in this. So let's say I put shield bash here. Okay, it shows that it requires 1 magic node, whilst Lightbringer requires 2. Let's get out of the menu, hold L2, and you can see that my shield bash is indeed on my X, and I can use it for 1 magic bar. I shield bashed, and I can do it again. If I go to the cube and rest, I have all my magic back, which means that I can also use my Lightbringer straight out of the gate. Let's reset this, and now let's go back into our battle settings. We wanna temper with our combos here. So we go into combo abilities, and let's say we want to use slash and soar. Okay, I want slash and soar to come out as soon as possible in my combo. So I bind it to R1 going into R2. Okay? So what this allows me to do is perform 1 attack, going to R2, and I will use slash and soar. Again, 1 attack, slash and soar. The binded input is now tied to slash and soar. Let's say I can change it into something else. Let's say I want it to be tied to beatdown. Okay, so beatdown is another ability. I attack once. Well, I use magic first. We're good. I attack 1, and then I get a beatdown out because I changed the input. It's one attack, then going into R2, I get beatdown. So as you can probably understand, here you can tie a specific number of combos. Each one of these inputs will do something else for you. Okay? Now let's talk about the Spirit of the Sword, the passive one that we unlocked at the beginning of this vid. It's tied to hold R1 going into R2. We are here. Okay, it states Spirit of the Sword on the upper window, and on the lower window, it says beatdown and explains what beatdown does. Now, if you remember, it says that it enhances ability set to hold R1 going into R2, and that will stagger nearby enemies like a shockwave. So since beatdown already is a small AoE attack, I'm going to hold A. I don't have magic, give me a second, sorry about that. I go into hold A, and then beatdown, I use Spirit of the Sword, and I create an AoE explosion. Again, from this to this, I use Spirit of the Sword, because Spirit of the Sword is a passive tied to hold R1 going into R2. For every single one of these slots, something else is activated, and some of the passives are tied to specific combinations. For example, I previously unlocked Knowledge of the Blade. It states enhances the ability set to backwards R1, those are your uppercuts, going into R2, and states refills break gauge based on magic damage dealt. So if the weapon deals magic damage, in accordance to how much magic damage we dealt, we will be getting some of our own break gauge back, refilling our break gauge. It's very difficult to show you how this works, because if I don't have a target, I cannot do an uppercut. But I think we're gonna use this goblin. Come on. Uppercut, going into the beatdown again. You understand how it works? It's pretty much self-explanatory. Now the enemy is exposed and it's taken out. In this game, managing your available MP is of the utmost importance, because every ability, except for the abilities that you steal from enemies, those are the abilities you steal with the Soul Shield, are using MP, and you will need to refill it by actively fighting them or destroying them with finishers. As you progress throughout a job, I'm going to show you an example. Like the Mage here, I can unlock this node, for example. It states increases Mage Affinity. These abilities do not need to be tied to anything. They are passive, and they are tied to the affinity included with the job. Now that I mentioned job affinity, I know that you want to know more about it, but it is a pretty intricate system, and I want to really delve into it and understand it perfectly before I give you any information. What it basically means is that allows access to a job into another job's abilities, and when you have one job equipped that has affinity with the other job will also get some XP and level up passively, even if you are not using it in the moment when you're fighting and defeating enemies. As I said, I want to go in depth with this, I want to understand it perfectly, and then I will make a separate video where I will be explaining all its functions. So, for the time being, these are the basics of unlocking, assigning, and using combat abilities, combos, and active abilities. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section below. I will try to cover everything in Stranger of Paradise. Health issues in the very near future might prevent me from doing everything possible, but I will really strive to bring to you as much info and content as I can possibly master. Sub, like, and share for more content like this, and come by the streams. We'd really to have you there. Until next time, be well, stay frosty, and always strive for perfection. Cheers!